About 30 seconds. And you are now live, so you may call the meeting to order.
Okay, so I call the meeting to order. We have the adoption of the agenda. That the agenda for the June 11th, 2020 meeting for the Community Development Advisory Committee be adopted. Can I have someone move and someone
I
second?
so moved that we
Also
adopt the
moved.
agenda.
Alan, and I didn't hear who the second one was.
Dennis.
Dennis? Okay, Mary, you had your hand up, did you?
Yeah, that's fine.
No, because I see you asked about something about the KMP.
I think I can raise that during the discussion on the marketing campain. I don't think it needs to be a separate item.
During E? Okay, I was
Yeah.
wondering that. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Anyone? No? Okay, adoption of the minutes. The minutes of the meeting of held February 13th, 2020. The motion is that the minutes of the Community Development Advisory Committee meeting held February 13th, 2020 be adopted. Can I have someone move and someone second? Wilma, you'll move? You're on mute.
Once very small correct, I'll move, but once very small correction, if you can remove an E from my name in 6B.
Okay, that'll be
ENNY.
noted.
Thanks.
Okay, the seconder?
I'll
Lisa,
second it.
all in favor? Carried. Okay, we have no delegations or presentations, so we'll have the reports. We'll start with the reports. We'll start with 6A, responding to the economic impact of COVID-19 in Frontenac County. The report is for information only. It is intended to spark discussion with respect to potential tactics and programs to support economic recovery and ongoing economic development in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Richard.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the introduction to the report. This report is a covering report and a summary of reports that we've brought to County Council. So Councillor Ravel and Councillor Doyle will be familiar with them already, and as we've seen and discussed them at County Council level. But it's important that we try to bring in as broad a perspective as possible when looking at where we're going with recovery to COVID-19. And we want to make sure that this committee has a chance to share what they're seeing and hearing in the business and community, in our businesses and services, and if they've heard or had interest in other programs or other ways that we might be able to provide support that we could look at and investigate to go forward. So that was the purpose of bringing this report forward, was to give this committee a chance to talk about it, because we haven't met since the pandemic hit. And it feels like forever ago, I'm sure. But it's so I think the reports themselves speak for themselves. If you want me to go through any part of them, I'm happy to do so. But I'm really more interested in your questions and comments at this point.
It's Dennis. It's difficult through COVID-19, I know, for everybody. But Richard, I think we're doing the best we can to try to keep some businesses going. And we know from some of those surveys that have been done that it's been very difficult. And through video conferences and various promotion on websites, and trying to promote that people buy locally and use the farm to table and local food producers to buy their products. That's good. So but it is very difficult, and this is going to go on for a long time. So keep that work up, I think, is my message.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Betty, when you're calling people, you're on mute, and so we can't tell who you're referring to.
Sorry, Alan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Richard. I just happened to be looking the other day on the business directory, and I was looking for a company that had produced a barbecue sauce, and there was no, I tried in the, what I was searching for, and it did not pop up at all. It just was not terribly helpful. So I think it's important that we pursue the shopping local, but having that business directory as user friendly as possible is also extremely advantageous to ensure that all kinds of people can access and find the resources they're looking for locally.
Thank you, Alan. We can look into some options to improve our business directory.
Thank you.
Anyone have more feedback? Greg, do you have anything to add from the B&B perspective of things?
Not right at this moment in time, other than that we're one of the fortunate ones because we can still operate now. So, but I don't really have anything too too germane to say.
Okay. Lisa, from your perspective? No, sorry.
No, honestly, I can still operate my business, so I've been okay because I can do a lot. Expanding the internet locally would help a lot. A lot of the people that I'm dealing with and a lot of the local businesses I'm dealing with don't have the access that I have. I'm very fortunate to have, oh my goodness, the fiber optic coming through, but a lot of them don't. And that's been causing some issues, I know, locally with a lot of the businesses locally, and even just dealing with our customers locally.
Okay. Mary?
I read that the provincial government, I believe, has announced more funding for broadband. Is there any updates on that after that announcement, Richard?
We can look into the progress of the EORN project, which County Council is invested in and move forward and bring an update to the committee the next time we meet. From what we know, things have been slowly coming together. The funding, they've just increased their amount of funding for an existing project. So what we're hoping to see happen from there is growth in the speed and the range in which the cellular and broadband project can be expanded. So, but we can either we can get an update from EORN sent to the committee. They usually send regular updates to council as well. So we're happy to bring something to this committee.
Could I add something? After all, I'm sorry when you put me on. You didn't put me on the spot, but when you mentioned that and you added B&B into it, I just immediately went into my B&B thinking. But there is something I should just add that I think could be an encouragement in a lot of ways. About a month and a half ago, our local rural Frontenac tourism group, which is a group that's just kind of emerging and doesn't really have any organizational form just yet, but we formed a small ad hoc committee here. We submitted an article into the paper where we were attempting to bring together 5 people who represent different aspects of the tourism industry. Myself as an accommodator, Mike McKenzie, kind of from the food agri-culinary piece, Sharon Harris from Water's Edge Pottery among the artists. And what we were doing really is kind of creating a small think tank to look at what would be And our guiding principle was COVID-19 appropriate business ideas, startup ideas. And we haven't said a lot publicly about what has come out of that just yet, but there are some significant developments. We have an online multi-vendor marketplace that's being developed as a result of Sharon Harris's input. A business person here in Charlotte Lake is taking that project on. Mike McKenzie is trying to create a bit of an outdoor eating emporium at his site that will help service people on the trails. And I can say this to this group, we haven't announced this publicly yet, but I'm starting a new cycle touring business that will be offering cycling tours from Charlotte Lake to Wolf Island, kind of multi-day self-guided tours, and also some single-day guided tours around Central Frontenac. And it's just my way of saying that there are some good efforts being made right now to build on our trail economy. And I really believe that there's going to be any region in Eastern Ontario that's I think will do well in the midst of the current circumstances. We have that potential if we utilize the trails, because within a 3.5 hour radius of Charlotte Lake, there's 11.5 million people who are looking for very healthy outdoor activities this summer, and that represents a part of that represents a kind of business that is, as we termed it, COVID-19 appropriate.
Very good. And I would like to add that maybe you can bring them up to North Frontenac too. Would be.
Well, we're working on that. We want the Arts Trail to be a part of that. We just got to figure the routes out. But.
Good. Okay, Alan.
Dennis had actually had his hand up first before.
Oh,
so
sorry, I didn't see that. Dennis, sorry.
Okay, I'll let him.
Dennis?
He's muted.
Mute, unmute.
He's working on it. He's trying to find it. Bottom left-hand corner, Dennis.
Well, no, I found it, but it won't work.
There it is.
Oh, maybe can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
It just wouldn't take the request. Yeah, I was going to say a good point there, Greg, about the public being able to get outside on the trail, because that is one thing that the public health units, which I'm quite involved with, are promoting, is get people outside, outside restaurants and so on. And the other point I wanted to make earlier was, now that the province is reopening up a number of things, our committee and Frontenac Economic Development should be trying to, wherever possible, help people to understand the rules and regulations for reopening. One thing we've done here locally in our community, we got a number of restaurants that have limited outdoor seating. And what we've done is allocated some public sidewalk space so they can put tables. But there's probably other things like that we can do to help the businesses. And then it's complicated for some of the business owners to figure out all the rules. And when they open up outdoor seating for restaurants, they also went on to say there's easy ways to expand the number of liquor license tables or people in that area. So there's some things the province have done that we should probably be promoting that are over and beyond what the normal rules are. And I talked to one of the owners yesterday at a restaurant, and he says the way he reads it, it's almost like unlimited seating for the liquor license rules. So, thank you.
Very good. Okay, Alan?
This is Barry Gilbert. Can you hear me there?
Oh, yes, I can.
Oh, great. I have a suggestion when it's appropriate, if we're having a discussion on the trail.
Right now we're just talking about just the information about potential tactics and programs to support economic recovery. We do have the KMP trail, if that's what you wish to speak about on 6E.
Yeah, yeah, the
Okay,
KMP trail. I got a suggestion that worked well at Big Sandy Bays Trail.
Okay,
A group
so
of friends of Big, sorry?
can we hold that till we get to the KMP trail?
The next agenda
Sure.
item, Barry.
Okay,
Yeah, fine, that's fine,
Thank you.
yeah.
thank you very much. Alan?
Could,
Thank you,
could
Madam
you call me
Chair.
back? I'm paying 5 cents a minute, and if I'm not here for an hour, it's gonna add up. Could you call me back at my number?
Okay, well then,
I
we'll
don't-
let you go. Go
don't
ahead
think
with your
that's
comment
possible.
then, please.
Do you want my suggestion?
Yes, please.
I'll give you my suggestion and then sign off. I had an idea that if the nearest villages on the trail would do some identification of trees, bushes, bogs, history, natural history, native history, the county could have labels put up, and this would be great for school groups going on the trail. If we're doing stewardship, it might be good for local people to get to know their natural environment. And we had good reactions from signs, small signs put on 4x4 stakes in front of trees and shrubs and poison ivy. So I'd like to make the suggestion that we promote that to the county, that the nearest villages do the identification, and then the county pay for the small metal signs that go up. Is that
Very
clear?
good idea. Very good idea. Yep. I think Richard's been writing, so thank you very much for that suggestion. It's a great idea.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, Barry.
Betty, just a comment on Barry's. I was involved in putting up the signs Barry was talking about at Big Sandy Bay, and they were quite inexpensive, like 6x6 little plaques or metal. And we either put them on stakes in front of the trees, or in some cases where appropriate, just screwed them directly to the trees and various kind of fauna and so on. So it does give people an extra little thing to do when they're walking the trail to keep track of the trees. We can expand that also to the types of birds to watch for, and flora and fauna and so on. Good suggestion, Barry.
Okay,
Thank you.
Alan, do you still have a suggestion? I'll be with you in a minute, Wilma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My comments really were sort of in response to Greg's comments, and they could wait till we deal with the KNP trail.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wilma?
Likewise, mine was a response to Barry's idea, so let's leave it for the trail.
Okay, we'll do that.
And just to clarify, Betty, I think Barry was asking that we phone him. Barry, did you want me to phone you in my line, and then you can hear what's going on to save
Yeah,
your
that
5
would be
cents?
great.
second.
Let me give you my iPhone number.
Well, I can call you
343.
on your home number as far as that goes.
It'd be better on the iPhone.
Okay,
that's what
well, I'm gonna
using
write
now.
it down to
Not to
save me
give-
looking.
The
What
phone
is
number
it?
out.
Okay,
Oh, I
Just
would advise
one-
not to give the phone number out over YouTube. Hold on.
Oh,
Perhaps Barry can email the phone number to us instead of providing the phone number out over a
why
live.
don't I just call you in the home number?
that's fine.
Just
Good.
just call him on the home number.
Okay,
I'm not sure we'll stay connected, but we'll see.
Well, I can get the phone number from you that way for the other.
Okay.
phone. I'll
Okay.
try to mute here.
okay. Wilma?
Just a suggestion, at 5 cents a minute, that would come to what, $3 for 60 minutes? Perhaps the county could offer to cover Barry's expenses on this one, because it might be easier for him to be part of it throughout.
Yeah, I mean, we're not paying mileage for this, so I think like he's already left the meeting though. So for future meetings, we'll take a look at this. We thought we had him up and running, and so now we're, this is everybody isn't just the organization that has to learn, it's everybody who participates with the organization that has to learn how to make this work. So it's trial and error. So.
Okay. So back on the topic we were talking about, I just want to say that I think the local businesses, a lot of them have done fantastic adapting and reinventing themselves and looking at new business models of what they are and can do under the COVID pandemic. And so my hat's off to them. I know that the local grocery store here, what he doesn't carry, if you call him, he will pick it up on his trips into town. And actually he's doing probably better than he has in a while. So that's encouraging to hear that some businesses are thriving.
I think Lisa's got her hand up, Madam Chair.
Sorry, Lisa.
Sorry, that's okay. You were speaking. Is there a database of local companies that businesses can buy supplies from for COVID, for hand sanitizer, masks, everything that we need as businesses? I'm wondering if there's some way we could help those companies out a little bit.
So we've been sharing links to the provincial directory for sanitizer and PPE, and we'd like to encourage those companies that are local and producing to get on that directory. But we don't have like a KFL&A directory put together at this point. And I think part of it might be just there's not that many folks doing it, and those who are have sort of picked who they're going to serve and they've been working on that. But I'll connect with our colleagues in Kingston, Lennox, and Addington, and see if there's interest in a local directory as well. But we've been basically sending our businesses to the provincial directory, and those people who say they are producing now also to register on the provincial directory.
Yep, and I would also like to say that the CFDC has received funding also to help out local businesses with loans. So that will be good. So if you know any businesses that are in need, especially to help move forward, please refer them to the Community Futures, and we have counseling and some money available, loan money. Okay, anyone else have anything to add to this topic? Seeing nothing.
Just to
Richard?
wrap up the report, Madam Chair, I just wanted to make sure that everybody who on this committee, if they see or come across ideas that are happening in the news or other jurisdictions that they think might be a good fit in Frontenac County, I think forward them to me for future discussion, either at this committee or at council. Our current plan is doing the best we can within our current budget, but we will be making plans for long-term changes, and some approaches don't require a lot of money, and we might be able to integrate them as well. So we're always out to listen, and the more people who are working on that, the better we can find solutions.
Okay, Mary?
I'll forward you an excellent article that was in the New York Times about interior Florida and what they're doing to promote their agriculture. It looked really quite excellent, so I'll send that to you.
Very good. Okay, anything else? Okay, so if we can all keep our ears and eyes open and forward anything we hear to Richard, that would be great. Okay, so our next one is on the online multi-vendor marketplace. It is intended to update the committee on the progress made on the online multi-vendor marketplace initiative. Richard? You're on mute.
Sorry, I only have one screen in front of me today, and so I'm moving between windows. So just moving up to the report. The online, as part of the plan that we just read about, getting folks to shop local and getting the word out about local businesses that with online purchases is really quite important for us. And council supported that idea. An online marketplace is difficult to put together, and it's quite an undertaking in general. And so what's emerged is local business people in Central Frontenac, who Greg has actually already referred to, have taken on this project for themselves, and we're going to support them in the recruitment of vendors and the overall marketing of the marketplace. So we don't have to get involved in the technical construction and maintenance and management, day-to-day management of the marketplace. They'll take care of that, which was probably the most sort of concerning thing from a staff capacity side. And we will help support them in promoting and strengthening the enterprise to put things out for Frontenac County. And so we're basically going to help them develop a brand that's in line with the regional brand as well. And so it's basically going to be called the Frontenac Marketplace, and we're going to be seeing that move forward. It's moving forward very quickly, actually. And so we wanted to provide the committee with an update on progress on that. We've already had progress since we brought this initiative to council last month.
Okay, Mary?
Well, it's a thin description, but it seems to me that this kind of initiative, the marketplace, is going to could tie itself into what you want to do for open farms. I mean, it's that kind of online presence, and without knowing a great deal of details, I can't say for sure. But could we not take money allocated for open farms and assist Greg's group in developing this marketplace? Because what I'm thinking is my daughter, who has a wool store, just had her 2 best months ever because she had a robust online presence. And it's just, I guess people are knitting when they're at home. So I know that the restriction is broadband, but if we could get this up and running, I just think it would be so invaluable, and it would be well worth this committee's resources to get it going.
Interestingly, this is something we're thinking about as well, is what that alignment is. Really depends on how operational the marketplace is by the time we get to open farms and recruiting farms for open farms. So both of those things are moving forward together, but we've had the same thought.
Okay.
I just actually got a message from the CFDC, and the Ontario government has just announced more dollars for helping businesses get online for online adoption. So there'll be some significant funds to support maybe this initiative, but also for individual businesses to continue to go online, because the businesses that were already online were able to adapt more smoothly and more quickly to this situation. And from all reports, we can expect that there's going to be contractions in economic activity in the coming year or years. And so having an online presence will support the resilience of those businesses. So thank you.
I was just going to add that the one thing that we have noticed, if there's anything that's being purchased online locally in the area, it's stuff related to farms, it's food. Because a lot of the farmers need to get stuff out, and a lot of people, we have the option in Central Frontenac of ordering our groceries from Dean's, but a lot of people are now, wanting to get the good fresh farm products, and a lot of farmers are wanting to get that going. So I really think that will probably be the biggest piece in this eventually.
Yeah, it's a very good initiative for food, and the demand for local food has skyrocketed when we speak with local farms, and we've heard this is the same across the province. People don't want things that are part of a large supply chain. They want things that have gone through the least amount of hands and packaging as possible, and they want it local, and they want to support the local economy as well as part of that. So that's what's happening. I was speaking with one business that wholesales to restaurants in Kingston, and they thought their whole season was going to be lost. But then when the shutdown began, but then the grocers, their orders tripled. And so suddenly that whole space was filled by retail instead of through the wholesale to restaurants. So people are still buying their product, they're just buying it in a different way. And so that's a very good news for local farms, and we hope that trend continues past the pandemic.
And I have to think it would help the artisans too, because a lot of the shows and all that type of thing have not gone forward, and I don't know when they'll be able to go forward. So selling online is going to be a major outlet for them also. Anyone else have any comments? It's a great initiative. Thank you, Greg and group. And Richard.
Well, I think we were thinking the same thing separately, and then we came into alignment to work together on this. And so that's we like to work in Frontenac County. Just to mention to your comment, like one of the things that we think is the benefit of a marketplace with multiple vendors is that we only have to market one thing and to help our community and our economy, rather than have each vendor out there in a sea of emerging online stores and online right. So we're able to invest more, we can reach further with more resources, basically. So
yep, great initiative.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Mary?
Yeah, just following that. I think there's a lot of small vendors who just don't have the capability to develop this kind of marketplace. So it goes both ways.
Yep. And I think people will appreciate it too. Okay. So now C, the Open Farms 2020 virtual format. Richard. You're on mute again.
Sorry, I just had to direct my family towards some snacks. So yeah,
where are they?
Just over there. Yeah. So when it comes to Open Farms 2020, so we based on where things have been going in terms of tourism, in terms of public health regulations, in terms of farms and their comfort levels, we determined that it was not prudent to plan an in-person event for Frontenac Open Farms this year. Instead, we went out and talked to participating farms and said, we're thinking about something online. It might take up the whole harvest season. It might be interactive, and they were actually very supportive. We thought, they're busy enough, or maybe it's just easier to take a year off. They really want to continue the momentum of open farms, the momentum of the buy local that's happening in the pandemic, and sort of strengthen that piece. So what the plan will be, and the plans here in the report, and I'm just going to scroll down to that section of the report here.
Sorry, what page is that?
That is, so the open farms report is, I went too far there.
That's what I've done, I think.
Is page 29 of 46 in the entire package.
Yeah.
And so and you can see that we've sort of stuck to our goals of educating consumers about small scale agriculture, increasing awareness of farms, and continuing to provide opportunities for these producers to strengthen their consumer base and their customer base, and ultimately grow our reputation as a region that produces good food and is a great place for people to do small scale farming. And so, the implementation plan is still quite very much a framework at this point, but we'll follow some of the pieces that we used in our previous open farms approaches, which was having a destination website, having strong messaging about open farms and connecting with people, having a social media campaign, and then sort of following, like, we promoted open farms by promoting the farms last year. So we'll follow that thread here by promoting the farms that are part of this. What's great about this situation is that we were limited. We weren't able to say include farms on Wolf Island in open farms because of transportation barriers for people to go over back and forth to the island via the ferry. And so now we can include destinations that are either more isolated in Frontenac County or on Wolf Island. So the number of participating farms will probably increase significantly and benefit from this additional sort of coverage and campaign that's coming from it. And then the goal will be to create a set of virtual tours. And what we're thinking, and we're still ironing out the details here, so any input from you would be welcome, is to develop video tours where we don't want just a tour of a farm. We want a tour of something that makes your farm unique, something that's special about this farm and or the products from this farm, so that each video is different than the other videos, so that we're not all seeing, here's the barn, here's the tractor, here's the cow. We want to make sure that we're focusing on the unique elements of each farm when we promote them, and that there's some sort of call to action for a spend as part of the program. I'll let the committee speak to the report at this point.
Okay, I think Wilma had something to say. Unmute.
I found it. Yes, I was wondering about your timeline. When do you think, this is a pretty ambitious plan, it sounds excellent, but when do you think you'll be able to get things up and rolling? Or how are you going to phase in the various parts of things that you're describing here?
So I think we plan to sort of launch around the same time that we would normally launch, which would be the second weekend in September. So we might, depending on where things kind of fall in terms of and how many farms sign on, that might move by a week or two, but it'll be a harvest season 4-week kind of campaign in starting in mid to late September.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Mary.
Richard, I remember the last wrap-up meeting for open farms, we discussed how expensive these videos are. Is there a way of doing it, I don't want to say on the cheap, but because it could, as I recall from last time, it really added up quickly to do these videos.
Yes, no, I appreciate you asking that question, Mary. The goal here will be to hire, so we did all that in-house, and so it used our in-house resources up significantly last year. The goal will be to use some grant money that we've secured for the event already, and we're just going through the process of confirming whether the new format will work. We had looked for, you okay?
Yeah, sorry, fine, mute.
That's okay. So we've got grant money this year that we want to apply, that we applied for wayfinding signage to help drivers find farms. We don't need that this year, so we've requested that we adapt those funds to be used for this purpose, and we'll contract out a company to do that, so it won't consume our staff time in the same amount, and we have to do everything within a certain budget. So whatever video company does it will have to make it work within that. Some of the videos that are in there, so we're sort of saying we're committing to producing one video, and we're going to try to coach the farms in producing additional content, video content that they can add or create themselves with their phones or through Zoom hosting or whatever they'd like to do. So yeah, actually on Wolf Island, the garden party event next week, it has a number of very interesting approaches to hosting their agricultural event. They have like a tune in on Zoom throughout the day to follow sourdough baking process with a chef. On Tuesday, they have a socially distant, what's it called? It's a socially distant concert where there's a large space booked and people have to be a certain distance apart. And then they have some online streaming events as well that they're doing. And so different players are finding different formats to add to this kind of virtual event. So we're hoping that our farms will be creative in how they contribute to it.
Okay.
Okay, other comments? No one else has anything to add at this time? Okay, I guess we'll move on then. Visit Frontenac.ca website development, intended to solicit comments, transition from the economic development web portal in Frontenac.ca to a new regional tourism website, visit Frontenac.ca. Richard.
Yes, so the part of our suite of initiatives to respond to COVID-19 was the recognition that tourism was going to be hit very hard this year. And they may do okay because there is still going to be a bit of a season for them. But many folks have been nervous, have lost money, have to spend more money on installing protective equipment, all of those types of things that are going to set them back after the season. And so we're committed to doing whatever efforts we can to strengthen the ability for people to find Frontenac County and enter the tourism activities in Frontenac County, stay, shop in whichever ways are in line with public health guidance this year, as well as be well positioned to have a strong and competitive campaign with the rest of Ontario next year. And so part of this is making sure that there's a strong tourism presence for the whole region online. And that is, and the easiest way for us to do that, and the most cost-effective way for us to do that, was to remove the economic development material from our In Frontenac website, put it on the Frontenac County website where many people are already going to look for our economic development activities anyways, and convert that economic development website to solely a tourism site. If you look at the content on the, if you look at the content, and some of it's hard to find because of the nature of how the current site's built, most of it is tourism content. So really, we're just strengthening the tourism presence on the internet so that when people are out looking for somewhere to go in Eastern Ontario, there's a clear landing spot to land. And so this is the planned structural conversion for the site.
Okay, Dennis?
Yes, Richard, thanks for that report. There's one thing, Wolf Island had some bad news this week. And I don't know if you heard, but the Wolf Island, the 3 ferry will be moved out of Marysville for a period of approximately 3 years. So our idea that's worked well over the past few years on that Foot for Ferry promotion, I guess we'll just have to eliminate it, because while MTO are putting on some busing, but it's primarily meant for the commuter workers going to work. So we'll have to rethink that. So I'm not sure if you heard that. And they've said it's probably leaving the 22nd of June, which is very soon. They might extend it by a few days, but it's imminent.
Yes, so we've been involved in conversations with MTO and the township for the past, I guess, 2 weeks now. With regard to this, we'll be the Ferry by Foot campaign doesn't necessarily make sense right now. If the ferry is docking in Marysville. Not in Marysville, but at Dawson Point, and there's a 4-kilometer distance to get from Dawson Point to the village of Marysville, where most of the economic activity and tourism activity takes place. We are engaged in some wayfinding signage on the island for those people who do choose to drive on, as well as information. We're updating all the information that we have on the Kingston dock to provide information about how that's going to work. My understanding is that there is going to be a shuttle, but a number of people who can go on the shuttle will be limited, and the times of that shuttle are limited as well, between the village and the new dock. We're working fairly hard to make sure that we're providing information about what you can do and how you can do it on the Wolf Island section of our website when we of the Visit Frontenac website when we launch it. So we're hoping to have very current content and be able to update that as the situation evolves on Wolf Island with the dock construction situation.
Hey, Alan?
Yeah, we can discuss further offline.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Richard. Just wondering, in the development of this new website, if it will be possible to pull out the items that are directly related to tourism, as in B&Bs, cabin rentals, from the business directory, and put them on, attach them to this new tourism website. Would save going through the business directory to get the information on tourism. Not sure how you define what is tourism related and not, because they're all very similar and all in need, but there are many things that are directly related to tourism that would be useful in terms of the accommodation side of things, meals, etc.
Yes. So the just to quickly, I'm just going to make sure I'm referencing the right part of the report here. You can see on page 3446 of the agenda package, there is a section that's just focused on staying on the new proposed structure of the site. So here we'll be highlighting hotels, motels, B&Bs, cottages, and camping. And then we have, we'll be converting the key sector section to explore and do, which will start with provincial parks, cycling routes, trails, shopping, like, so that'll include retail. So we'll be highlighting these sort of clear tourism pieces
Okay, I see
right
that.
away. Yeah, and so it won't just and so we'll be highlighting the businesses that are connected to that in
Okay.
these sections.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Frontenac KMP marketing plan. The intended marketing plan for the KMP trail, sorry. Richard, you're on.
I'm really on today. Well, I had Allison isn't in the meeting today because she's we're engaged in the downtown revitalization project that's taking place as part of the Elizabeth Street reconstruction in Sharbot Lake, and there's a training for their economic development committee this morning, and so she's a part of that there. Dennis, did you have something to say before I got started, or you're just getting in the queue? Okay. So I've had to speak to all of the reports today. Anyway,
Yes.
so okay, so when we get to, so in terms of the KMP trail, we always plan to have a marketing plan developed this year that was executed by the digital marketing summer student. So this plan was developed by Emma, who's been with us since late April. Although when I say with us, she's been at home. She came to the county office to get a laptop, and that's about it. I haven't seen her in person since we've started this process, but she's been doing a really great job strengthening our social media presence over the course of the last few months. And so the plan here is to continue to promote the KMP Trail as an appropriate activity to undertake in especially in a place where we need to be outside more and socially distant to remain helpful, or physically distant, I guess is the appropriate term. So it has essentially a few pieces. One is strengthening the conversations on Instagram and social media. So there's a KMP Trail Instagram account. And so that has been slowly building over the last few weeks. And we're trying to get people to engage with the KMP Trail Instagram account. Improving the website content. So our existing interactive map is out of date, and part of it is it has a trail view experience, but what it doesn't do, what we want to do is get people into businesses. And so we want to do a better job highlighting the things you can do along the trail and the experiences you can undertake along the trail between there. Oh, I've got a monster over here. So so we want to ensure that we get these trailside businesses highlighted through the interactive map, strengthening itineraries and stories on the website, and making sure that there are folks involved. The other piece that we thought was pretty interesting was we sort of took this idea from a Camino. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Caminos, and so Caminos are long walking trips that people engage on, mostly in Europe, but all over the world. And you get this I think it's called a carton to. You want to say hi real quick?
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
They can't hear
They can hear
you.
you. Okay. Okay. So so where was I? So the idea of having a passport is sort of like it's a train ticket kind of idea, because it's an old rail trail, and you go to these stores and they have a stamp that we've provided them, and you get stamped and you kind of collect as many stamps as you can on this sort of passport or train ticket idea. And so we're currently looking at developing that into an experience that can be expanded for trail users. And I gotta find my report again. It's and then number 5 is more of a little bit more fun. My experience in Europe is there's a lot of trails, like a lot of trail communities start to do really unique things on their own in an organic way, where they kind of create their own flavor for the space beyond the trail. And so we're thinking we're going to experiment with some kind of like lawn gnome that might be found throughout the trail that says like, take a photo with me or help me travel the trail. And, you know, and you kind of help it move from, you know, from Kingston to Charlotte Lake and back again on the KMP trail, as different people do. Most people, especially most locals who are experiencing the trail, are out there doing different sections, but they're not doing it all at once. And so they might walk a few kilometers and move a gnome along, and then somebody might pick it up from there and move it further along. And we just think we think it could be totally hilarious and great and fun, or we think it could just go absolutely nowhere. But like, we think it might be a fairly cost-effective way to bring some attention to activity on the trail and improve the experience for trail users. And we have a very loyal group. I don't know if the report covers it, but our Facebook group that we have for the KMP Trail is gone from about 300 members, 280 members that we had in March, to about 700 members now. And so for the most part, there's enough people there and enough people commenting regularly that we don't have to answer very many questions on there. Most of it is them sharing their experiences on the trail with each other, their photos on the trail with each other, which is really very cool. And so that's another portion of it from a community standpoint. But the goal is to start selling the trail as an experience in the region that people want to come do.
Okay, Dennis first.
There, I'm unmuted. This was the second section that Barry wanted to speak to on some better signage for what to expect to see in this next section of trail and so on. And I've got Barry on the phone. I don't know if you had anything more to add there, Barry?
No, I think I covered it in my earlier comments.
Yeah, and it sounds like Richard is thinking of doing things like that. So I think we're all set. Now, I had another question, if I may, while I got the mic, and that's not specifically related to marketing, but it's nice to see that we've expanded a lot, and I've been involved in this since we started making the trail master plan back in probably 2007, 2008 timeframe. And the intent always was to include the Wolf Island Canal, because without the Wolf Island Canal, the KMP Trail wouldn't have existed, because the reason for it was to bring goods from Europe through New York City by rail to Cape Vincent, New York, from New York City, loaded on barges, which came through the old Wolf Island Canal. And then, the thing I wanted to point out, trying to see what we do with the Wolf Island Canal, and I think now with the ferry out of Marysville for 3 years, there's not much else we can do. So we've had some local generous donations to help us with that project. So can we get that back on the list of things to do, Richard?
It's always been on the
I
list
see
of things
Joe's
to
on the
do.
line by phone.
It's
Yes, yeah, it's for over 10 years now, yeah.
Okay.
Joe, you have any comment?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Hi,
Can
Joe.
can the committee hear me okay?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, good morning. Yes, Dennis, in my office, I have a banker's box with a whole bunch of Wolf Island Canal studies. There's been a lot of work done back as far as the 80s, I would believe, right, Dennis? And
You're right, Joe.
I can have that conversation with you in more detail. I think we would need some direction from Township Council.
Yeah, okay, well, we can do this offline and
Yeah,
go on with the rest of the meeting. So when we do that.
yeah, just before I turn my mute back on again, I'm hoping to come over to the island either Monday or Tuesday to talk to you and Barb about the Marysville plan. I'm going to talk to Darlene this afternoon. Hope I can talk to you about that, okay? And I can talk about the canal at the same time.
Oh, good. Let me see. Yeah, I think other than a couple of meetings around noon and 1 o'clock on Monday, I'm good. The rest of the day, Monday or all day Tuesday.
Okay,
Just a
I'll
reminder,
make sure that
we're all
Darlene
on,
sets it up.
We're live on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Just a reminder, everybody. We're live on YouTube.
Okay, so we'll take that offline, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, Wilma's next.
Hi, through you, Mary, or Betty, to Richard. It seems to me a year and a half or 2 years ago, we had a presentation of an excellent plan for the trailhead development in Verona, at the corner of 38 and Bell Rock Road. Whatever became of that? Because I think having that sort of attractive trailhead with information would be a very important part of what you're describing here.
Yes, so that plan still exists. What we have not done yet is find sufficient partnership funds to carry out the project.
Because I think the community group in Verona had already purchased some items to go there, and I don't know to what degree they were willing to continue raising funds and working with you on it, but they might be of some help there.
The Verona Community Association has been a great partner with the trailhead. They just before the pandemic hit, we were working on an initiative for some additional improvements to the site. So we've been working on a variety of sort of smaller projects associated with that site while we look to secure the larger funding to complete the improvements to the parking area itself, which is the more expensive part of the whole piece to put together. But it's still in the capital plan. It's just that project will be undertaken when we've got the right partnership funds in place to carry it forward, because we have to tell the truth, we've actually already committed more than we've already spent more on it than we've committed to spend. So we really do need to find all of the dollars or a really strong partner to complete the development, because the remediation itself was a big undertaking by the county.
Have you thought of approaching Frontenac Township in terms of the paving? Because I know they have put out a contract to do work along 38. They're going to be doing quite a large chunk of 38. I have no idea whether there would be some way they could fit that into what they're doing, but it might be worth talking to Mark Segsworth about it.
We have pretty open lines of communication between the Township Public Works and ourselves, both in South and Central Frontenac, with regards to undertakings that we might be able to help each other out with. And I haven't heard from Mark in terms of the 38 project and potential for this, but I'll follow up with him.
Okay. I have one other item in relation to Barry's comment, which sounds excellent about the labels identifying plants and so on, but he suggested having nearest villages do the ID, and I think that would result in a very sort of ragged result. And there are areas where there's no village nearby where things, including dog strangler vine, need to be identified so people know what it looks like and why it's not a good thing. Is there any way there could be a link with Kingston Field Naturalists to either do some of the identifying for us, or at least coordinate it? Because they'd have the people who are skilled to do that.
Barry, are you listening there?
Yes, Kingston Field Naturalists comes to mind as a local group with a very large membership. We're talking about the same thing?
Yeah. Can you hear that, Wilma?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any contacts there, Barry? Is that,
Sure.
that a group?
I think I'm on the conservation committee. I can raise the issue with the executives. The other thing that occurs to me is that some of the people doing nature trips, guiding people, would be quite interested, I think, in having the trail with identification, give another ditch for people that do guided trips, foreign people, or maybe combined with kayaking or canoeing or something like that. I don't know anything about the guiding in Frontenac County, how many businesses there are.
Yeah,
But it could include, photography, natural history, etc.
well, if there isn't, Barry, maybe it's an opportunity for some enterprising people to start up such a business. I'm not sure if there's any like activity on the KNP trail. Does anybody know if people are offering guided tours, that kind of thing? Wilma, you may know.
I am.
Yeah, Greg is.
Part of what I announced at the beginning, we're going to be offering a cycling tour business that's going to be the trail central to it all. And I'm already, doing a lot of curating of a lot of different things along the trails that we're going to be directing people to as part of the tours. And so I'm just throwing that out there. It's already starting at least with one person, and there'll probably be more, I'm sure.
So if you're doing it up in the Sherwood Lake area, it's probably good for the whole trail area.
Well, we're going to be running tours all the way to Wolf Island. We've already got accommodations, an accommodations partner in the Blue Moose B&B at that end. We've got other accommodations partners that we're currently working on. And we're very focused on this business, not only making me money, but really helping to put the trail on the map.
Perfect.
Okay, Mary, you had a comment?
Yes, this is all fine, but I think it's all at risk by expanding the ATV use of the KNP trail. I was very disappointed to see it expanded down to Verona. I'm a high user of that trail, often stop in Verona for lunch, but I am seriously thinking not going past Bell Rock Road if they're going to allow ATV traffic. And Greg, I think this should be a great worry to you. I'm a prime target for these bike tours, and I am not interested in sharing with ATVs. It's not safe, and it just takes away the whole greenway concept. So I just want to throw this out to the committee. I was also disappointed that this didn't come to the committee first. I know we didn't have a meeting, but it could have been circulated. I know this is only a trial, but once you start these things, it's very difficult to take them away. My worry is next year it'll be Harrowsmith for exactly the same reasons. They want to be able to get around Harrowsmith on their ATVs. And then, well, now we've got an entire trail.
Alan or Rich, anybody have a response to that first?
Well, my comments are really largely in response to that, Madam Chair. It really was in some respects directed to Greg. Just asking that same point that Mary raised is, how do you see the interaction with ATVs affecting your proposed business model? From my perspective, I agree with Mary wholeheartedly. It's a multi-use trail with motorized vehicles, in my view, just is not compatible with other trail users who are passive cyclists, hikers, mums and families out with kids and dogs, and horseback riders, and not compatible with ATV users. And if you want to call it an ATV trail, that's one thing, but to expect to have it function as a multi-use trail for all users, I just do not see it working. So I want to get Greg's reaction to it, but other comments are welcome.
Okay, well, Dennis first, then Wilma.
Okay. I think Mark Mosley from that ATV group, didn't he come out to one of our meetings back last year? But at this point, I think all we've done is had a trial to sometime this fall. And I think there was no commitment to go beyond that. And we get feedback. And if Alan and Mary and others have feedback against it, well, we better get that on the table maybe at the next meeting.
Oh, for sure you're going to get feedback from the council from me. I'm just appalled that this is permitted.
Okay,
Well,
Wilma?
I guess it was permitted at a trial basis.
Okay, Wilma? Yep, Wilma?
Yes, thank you. I tried to get unmuted here on the one. Yeah, I totally agree as well. And certainly in South Frontenac, there's, in my opinion, no need for ATV users to have the trail because they have the right to go on all the roads and do frequently. So it's not even necessary to permit them in South Frontenac. As far as the common use of the trail by ATVs further north, I think it's a shame because I do think, I agree, it destroys it as a walking trail or a skiing trail or whatever.
Okay, Greg?
First thing I want to say is that this is something I have given a fair amount of thought to. It's not a new issue for me in my venture. And I guess I've had to just approach this as it's the reality. I don't have any power over any decision to whether ATVs can use a trail or not. I've been kind of building my thoughts around the fact that, and maybe this is just my perspective up in our part of the county, but we don't see as much ATV traffic in the summertime on the trails as we do in the fall and the spring. That might change. I might be being a little naive. I'm not sure, but generally the cyclists who've just come through the last few years, like on the Trans-Canada Trail and that, they're not encountering ATVs as much as they're just kind of frustrated with the condition of the trail due to ATVs. But there hasn't been a lot of issue around, ATVs getting in their way. So I guess my hope is if we can hit a point where the traffic's lower for the time of year on the trails and just flood it with a cycle culture, maybe that might have some kind of impact. And then and we can just try to change something differently in terms of the persona of the trail. So.
Okay, Mary?
So one question to Greg and then one question to Richard. What I don't understand is if you're seeing low ATV traffic, then why would we permit it? it seems like a few people have gotten the ear of council, and council hasn't asked the other users before they made a decision. So that's kind of interesting. Second, Richard, do you have any status update of the Trans-Canada Trail Grant? Have they been informed of this decision? I assume they won't be happy.
I have not heard back from the Trans-Canada Trail organization in regards to this.
But they were informed?
Yes.
Okay.
And the in terms of whether we asked other users or not, we did ask. We did go out and do a comprehensive survey in 2017, and we had significant responses to that survey from multiple user groups and multiple users who use different forms of transportation on the KMP Trail. And support existed from people who were only cyclists to those who weren't for this idea. The major barrier, like the support was generally quite in favor of opening up the use to provide access to the trailhead for various reasons, so long as people are safe. The safety and security is the issue. That's the issue that the ATVers have brought to council. If you in the motion associated with the petition, the Road 38 does not have great shoulders or space for sharing with the amount of traffic traveling through the center of Verona. In their opinion, they feel quite vulnerable, much in the same way that a cyclist feels vulnerable with an ATVer on the trail. And so there is a need to, as part of this process, regardless of whether this trial project continues longer than this year or not, there is a need to make sure that we are managing our users and that our users are behaving in appropriate manners around each other, because this kind of conflict doesn't just exist between cyclists and ATVers or pedestrians and ATVers. It exists between cyclists and pedestrians. It exists between dog walkers and horseback riders. This like trail conflict between user groups is not singularly between motorized and not motorized. And so at the end of the day, we have to think about the community. We have to think about the economy. We have to think about the number of trail users overall when we're doing this, and we have to make sure we have partners in each of these groups that we're able to work with to help them advocate and work with their constituents so that they're behaving appropriately where they are, wherever they are on the trail. So, yes.
Wilma?
Just one thing that sets ATVs a bit apart from the other uses of the trail is the destruction created to the surface of the trail. And I think Greg mentioned that briefly, that one of the few complaints the cyclists had was the condition of the trail, because the ATVs do rip it up ferociously. That's all.
A quick response to that. I agree with that. I was talking with the, I guess the president, would he be, of the Velo Club, Richard, that you put me in touch with. And we had some conversation, about trail conditions. And right now, everybody's just loving the condition of the KMP trail, especially the most newly completed portion of it. But when we were talking about trails that would connect with other trails, that's when he kept mentioning that he wasn't impressed with the condition of the Cataraqui Trail now, largely because of that. So I'm just affirming it is an issue. And I mean, my wife and I walk the trails here every day. with our dog, and we don't really encounter any problems at all with cyclists or even ATVs, and we see them constantly, but not in huge numbers. So at least in this neck of the woods, we can kind of live with the multi-use part, but my bigger concern is what the motorized vehicles do to the trail over time.
Alan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, just further comments. I do know that, well, the other day I was in Verona and there were ATVs going through the trail in Verona that were traveling more than 20 kilometers per hour. And I also recall that when the presentation was made to County Council from a woman promoting the Camino concept of trail use, she acknowledged that they would not have any interest in using any part of the trail that had motorized vehicles on it for their Camino use. So I think to look at that as being one of the uses that might take place in a motorized section is just not reasonable.
Anyone else have any input into this? Dennis?
Yes, I wonder what the process is going to be for addressing this. I seem to recall it was going to come back to County Council in the fall. Are you coordinating that, Richard, and are we going to have a report and then I guess we'll receive input from both sides of the discussion and make another decision whether it be extended or go back to where it was? And from some of the things that have been said here, is there even some thought that we won't allow motorized vehicles up further where it has been allowed for the past few years?
Richard?
So I'll report back on the extension process. And the direction was that it could come back, was report back so I can bring it through this committee. Ultimately, what we'll be doing is making sure that we're surveying the businesses and the users on the trail to see how it's going. We've had the ATV Club who spearheaded the petition and who are partners of the county on the KMP Trail. They have been engaging with members and parking and educating other ATV users about the situation. And communicating with the public on the trail as much as possible since the decision made by council. And we're in the process of having additional signage put up for the community safety zone and the change in speed limits, which incidentally has been the Snowmobile Club has agreed to also. So the or at least agreed to entertain also. They haven't had a meeting about it yet, but in broad discussion with the Snowmobile Club, they said that they might keep that same speed limit year round, which would improve safety and security for everyone in the village year round, which makes sense.
Okay, Mary first.
It seems to me, and this is to Dennis, that when the ATV group presented to this committee, the comment you made was it was part of the deal when the KMP was financed that from Craig Road up would be allowed for ATVs, and we couldn't change that. That was part of the original agreement. My worry is that now, once you start something, then it's really hard to take it away. I can just imagine the hue and cry in September, the council votes to not allow ATVs again. It's just a precedent that really worries me.
Okay, Wilma? Mute button.
Oops, sorry. Not only do I agree with what Mary just said, but unfortunately, many ATV users are not members of the club, which may well regulate its members, but there are a number of individuals using the trail who have no one really controlling them. Just throwing that out.
And I would also like to say that when the ATV club came to us, they talked about the Craig Road North, and they said that this wasn't adding ATV use on any other part of the trail, just that Craig Road part. So that's just my input of what I remember of that meeting when he came to the meeting. Anyone else? Any further comments on this discussion about the KMP?
The marketing plan looks fantastic, Richard. I want to give you full props for that. I think the gnome idea is hilarious. I just worry that we take away by allowing ATVs.
Yep. Okay, so we'll move on to the next F, and it's one-on-one digital support sessions.
Yes, thank you. So we, as part of, even prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we had started introducing some one-on-one Main Street digital support sessions through our partnership with the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center at Kingston Economic Development. That's a regional support that people can use from the region, but hosted at the Kingston Economic Development office. And so we seen such a desire for people to improve their websites, to improve their social media presence, to improve their, to introduce online shops as a result of this, and them having the time to do it as well. It's always been sort of, number 5 on a list that keeps adding 3 items above it for every day. So it's not urgent enough that you take care of it. So every time we've offered this, the spots get snapped up, and we just wanted to provide the committee with a bit of a overview of the types of support provided through this kind of thing, and to get your sense about whether this is a beneficial use of our resources. In this case, it requires no resources on our part. We just coordinate it, but we might consider pursuing other forms of digital support or coaching if this kind of uptake continues.
Okay, Mary?
Just one question. Who's Mr. Morris? They keep talking about Mr. Morris in the report, but I don't know who he is.
So Mr. Morris is so Chris Morris is the he's a digital Main Street specialist with Kingston Economic Development, and he is a consultant. It's not on the report. We did have a description of who he was somewhere. I thought it was in the report, but no, we must have knocked that off.
I don't see it.
Yeah, no, knocked that off by accident. Anyway, so Chris has done these sessions for us, and so he has worked for as a independent contractor, works for Lennox and Addington County and Kingston Economic Development in various part-time gigs doing this kind of support. And the few businesses that I know have spoken to who have worked with them have found real value in those hour-long conversations. There's something to be said about webinars and sort of general learning, but then sometimes you need that one-on-one support to figure out how to apply those ideas that you've got or heard about in your specific situation. And a lot of people know what they want to do and even have a good grasp of how the internet works, which he was a bit surprised by. And so largely it was about updating their skills or explaining how Google works. For example, we talk about SEO, which is search engine optimization. It's probably the cheapest and easiest way to make sure that you get found on the internet. But it just means you have to have the right words in the right places on your website in such a way that Google can find it. So,
well, we country folk understand that their internet, you know.
No. I think he was more talking about the demographic than the location of country folk. So, yeah.
So when I see by the report, he's worked with 12 people. Is that my understanding?
He worked with 12 people in that set of sessions, and he did a set of sessions in early March, right before the pandemic hit, and he worked with another 10 people at that time as well.
Good.
I think Lisa's got her hand up there.
Sorry, Lisa. Yes.
I was one of the businesses he spoke with in March, and he was helpful. You can take all the courses in the world, but sometimes you need somebody to help kind of bring it in together a little bit. And that's where this one-on-one session was really helpful in just, you know, he picked up on wording in one line on my website, changed that to, you know, he helped me find something that I have never been able to find on Facebook. I'm pretty good at Facebook as far as marketing goes. Little things like that, little tiny tweaks that he was able to make in that 1 hour is invaluable to businesses. And any other business I would definitely recommend they take him up on an offer if he offers to speak for one. And it is something that needs to happen to help the businesses out here. In order to get some of these courses in person, we have to go into Kingston right now at the bare minimum. So it was very helpful to have them locally.
Good. Anyone else have comments, questions?
I just to add to that, Madam Chair, I think one of the things that is easier. So these sessions were all done in this report. Were all done not in person, but via Zoom or on the internet. And we used to have a feeling that, especially in Frontenac County, that we're face-to-face people. We need to do things in person and have those meetings in person and that training in person. And I think we're all experiencing a bit of a Zoom learning curve or a video conferencing learning curve, but it's much easier for us to coordinate if we're able to offer these kinds of support sessions over the internet. Now, some people don't have a connection where they're able to do that, and that is always of concern. But there are many people who can, and so so we're going to have to find a balance in offering some digital and some in person kinds of sessions for this sort of thing going forward. And we probably could partner with the libraries in achieving that going forward.
Good. Okay, is there anything else on that? No, going forward? Okay, we don't have any communications that I know of. We don't have any other business that I know of. The next meeting will be Thursday, August 13th. And so I'll ask for someone to move to adjourn. Dennis and Alan. Okay. And with that, I'll say good afternoon to everybody, almost. And have
Yes,
a great
good
day.
afternoon. And Barry says goodbye as well.
Okay, thanks, Barry, for being on the phone. Okay.
Thanks, Barry. We're going to figure this out with you. Okay. Take
Yeah.
care.
Okay, bye,
This has been
everybody.
good.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good. Okay, bye.